Welcome back, friends of the internet. Today we are going to talk about how to have a great time going to the Hatfield McCoy trail system. We are here in Hillbilly headquarters, the kids clubhouse that I'm still working on, although it does have a nice view. Here, look, you can tell. Anyways, so we're going to talk about some of the stuff that I do to get ready to have a successful trip to Hatfield, because it can be kind of overwhelming if you're a first timer. There's a lot of stuff to know. You just don't want to like show up and ride. I mean, unless you live really close to it. For us, it is, depending on traffic and how many times you stop for fuel and everything, it's about a 6-hour ride from where we're at here in Northwest Ohio down to like Logan, Man, stuff like that. We're on the Western Trail system, so Ivy Branch is more towards the north, but Rock House, Devil's Ants, Buffalo Mountain, Bear Wallow, that kind of stuff. I have not been to the Southern Trails yet. I will be making another video about that probably next year sometime. So yeah, if you look down below in the description, there's going to be the chapters or whatever, so that way you can like pick and choose, just because I'm sure I'm going to ramble about a whole bunch of stuff, and there's going to be maybe some parts that you're going to want to just move on to, like what kind of stuff I bring with me on the trip. I have a detailed video about that I can post above, and I'll maybe post a link below. It just tells you the kind of tools and stuff that I bring with me. We're going to go through all that. This is going to be probably a long video. You're probably going to get bored and probably want to click the thumbs down button. Please try not to do that. The thumbs up button does help the channel grow. I really appreciate the new subs and stuff. You know what? Let's step out into my shop where I keep the machine, and let's start with that. Let's start with the machine. You're ready for your big ride. Oh. And you want to go have a fun Bonanza Fest. You know your machine better than I do, obviously. You're going to want to think about a few things before you go to Hatfield. The place is kind of remote. Depending on what trail system you're on, it can be very rugged. Rock House, full of rocks. One of my favorite trails, though. Trail systems, excuse me. So you're going to want to make sure that your machine is in good working order. I've seen people down there and have ridden with people down there that have pretty clapped machines, and they still do okay. Any utility quad, four-wheel drive, even with like bald-ass tires, will still do pretty well. I've seen side-by-sides with pretty roach tires do well. Dirt bikes, you're going to want to have some fresh rubber there. And depending on the season, it can be super dry, it could be super sloppy. So you might want to think about what kind of tires you're running. A good intermediate tire would probably be decent. If you're going to be on the road hitting up other trail systems, you're going to be smoking through a set of knobs if they're soft. So you want to kind of think about that stuff. But I'm sure there's other channels that discuss riding at Hatfield with a dirt bike, but here we're going to focus on a side-by-side, more specifically my RMAX. So it's about a week or so before we're going to go, and the machine is cleaned up. I have the hood off because I'm inspecting stuff, making sure things are where they should be and tight. I check all my connections for the battery and make sure that everything's tight there. You don't want stuff wiggling around and arcing and getting strange. Battery hold down, I check that. I popped the airbox lid to look at the the air filter, and it's good and clean. I actually cleaned it a few months ago and really haven't had much time to ride this summer, but it can be extremely dusty there. When we head down there in I like to go in April and October. Usually there's not a lot of dust then, but you never know what you're going to get. We'll talk about that later as far as like what to wear and all that fun stuff. But the conditions there can be pretty dusty, so you're going to want to have at least a fresh air filter, clean it. Depending on your machine, maybe you might want to have a spare air filter if it's really dusty there. It might be a good idea. But anyways, I checked all my fuses for my light bar. I got lights in the back and stuff. The other big thing that I like to do is check to make sure the tires are the correct air pressure. I run, I think, 14 PSI front and back on these. Again, your machine might be different, or your riding style might dictate a different tire pressure and stuff. I got the bed up because I'm kind of cleaning under here. I'm going to check the oil. I changed the oil recently, so I know that's good. I also like to get a LED light of some sort. I mean, you can even just take your machine outside if outside has enough, sun's shining down. I like to look at all the CV boots and look for anything weird. I like to look for any wet spots. It's kind of hard to see back here, but where the drive shaft goes into the differential, I like to see if there's anything funky going on there. Maybe you might look at your machine and maybe you got a seal or something that's blown, and you might want to think twice before ripping on it too hard. So again, I do the same thing on this side. I like to look and make sure everything looks copacetic. Interior, again, I clean the machine a little bit just so it's a little bit more presentable when I'm going to go out with my passenger. It's not covered in mud or anything. So the big ones up front, in my opinion, are you want to look at, and this really goes for every machine. And let me see, can I point this out? So you have, this is the air box. You want to make sure that these rubber boots and these clamps and stuff, everything is secure here. If you find that this got loose and this intake pipe or something can come off, not only can you ingest water, but you can ingest dust. I mean, it could be horrific. So check to make sure your rubber boots and stuff are all good. There's no gaps, nothing fell. The same can be said, I probably should have mentioned that when we were on the other side, but you're going to want to take a peek at your, let me see if I can crawl in here without cutting my head off. Yeah, so same thing here. This boot here, you want to make sure is on properly. You do not want to ingest any water or dust or dirt that's going to go into any, mechanical systems like your CVT. And you definitely don't want to ingest dirt when you're, full throttle going down a trail at like 50 miles an hour. So I give everything a good once over. This machine's in really good shape still, so I know it's not going to need any issues. Or I know it's not going to have any issues with like wheel bearings and stuff like that. But, I check the rack and stuff. Again, I look at the boots. That's the axle. I look at the rack over here. Make sure everything looks good. Look for any leaks. I check my coolant bottle, make sure that's right. I'll check my brakes, make sure that's good. I will obviously warm the machine up to check the oil, drive it a little bit, check the trans oil. Your machine might have a different procedure or whatever. This is a dry sump system, so you got to let it idle, reach temperature, and then check. Make sure your machine's ready to go, because when you get there, you're just going to want to back it off the, your trailer and just start having a blast. You don't want to worry about this stuff when you get there. All right, while we're talking about the machine, let's talk a little bit about security of the machine. It's important. Depending on where you stay down in Hatfield, it can be kind of sketchy or it can be perfectly fine. A majority of the cabins that you rent or resort type places that you stay at, or we stay at this hotel, there's never an issue. It's usually a safe place. You don't have to worry about tweakers or people stealing stuff. But what I like to do is I have a Samsung Smart Tag, and this Apple makes these too. I think it's an Apple Smart. You know what the Apple Tag is called? Apple AirTag. Oh, thank you, kid. what? Yeah, Apple AirTag, whatever. So you can get the Samsung ones for Android, and then Apple makes their own. The thing that I like about these is majority of people that are going to be out in the world today, they're either going to have an Android phone, you know, an Android-based phone, or they're going to have an Apple phone, an iPhone. And you can stash one of these somewhere on your machine, and it's going to be able to communicate with the app where if something does happen to your machine, you can find it with this. Let the cops know, whatever. So I recommend getting one of these. I'll put a link down below, at least for the smart tag. Well, I mean, you can find them. They're everywhere. But I'm going to probably bring my cover, that Kimimoto cover, just to throw this thing over in case it rains. Only because October, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get in October. It might be rainy, so it'd be nice. I don't have an enclosure on this thing, so it'd be nice if the seats weren't completely soaked when I get up in the morning. So, you know, think about maybe bringing a cover with you. That would be, you know, probably beneficial. Also, it'd keep prying eyes off of the machine as well. So what I'm going to do here is finish up what I'm doing here, checking the oil and stuff, and then I'm going to get ready to mount my toolbox, because once I do all that and I mount my spare tire, and I'll probably just do like a high speed of that, I can't tilt my bed anymore. Okay, well, we got the old girl loaded up, and I'm going to just explain a few of the things that I have here. So I like to carry a 2.5 gallon pump sprayer, and this is pretty nice because you can use it to hose off your windshield, or you can clean your radiator if it gets full of mud. So you pump it up a few times, spray your windshield down. You can see I have my spare mounted. I also put a ratchet strap on here as well, and this kind of keeps things a little bit safer. So we got that. Obviously you saw the box, and that's packed with tools. These are my straps. We're going to use Cousin Bobby's trailer, and he doesn't have E-track, so I have these type of straps that basically loop over the wheel, kind of like a belt, and I'll show you those when we get stuff loaded down. The Kimimoto covers in here. I like to zip tie everything closed because we're probably going to throw this in the back of a pickup truck bed. So I will do a final check on this, and then I'll zip tie it closed. I made sure that the machine is full of fuel, because again, when you get there, you're probably just going to want to start ripping. Let's talk about maps and stuff next. Okay, let's talk about maps. I'm using the hood of my shitbox car here for this. This map actually came from these guys. They actually sell map packs. I talked to the guy, and he was nice enough to let me have a copy of it because I just wanted a hard copy. I have a tablet and stuff. I have Bob T maps, and we can talk about that here in a second. But this is not the kind of map that you're going to get from... You're not going to get this from, like, if you stop at a visitor's center or something at Hatfield. This has like outlaw trails and stuff, so a lot of these are outlaw trails. But I will list some resources down below where you can find these maps. Our cabin is up here, so we'll ride all this, and then we'll probably stop over here, and then it kicks out And there's a gas station, there's places to eat and stuff, and then you can get back on this. We'll probably make our way all the way over to Buffalo, and usually we make it down to Matewan, and you can stop there for gas and stuff. That town is pretty nice. They got some fun little restaurants and stuff there. Good idea to have a hard copy of a map. Let me show you what map you get when you go to a cabin, or if you stay at like a Holiday Inn or something, they have a pile of them. This is the map that you're going to get when you stop at one of their resource centers, stop at one of the hotels, or really any of the cabins. They're going to have this type of map. And it's paper. It's good. It's not bad. You know, it's got some trail etiquette and rules and stuff. And you can see, let me get to Rock House here. So you can see that it's pretty well marked out with the numbers and stuff. There's a legend here that will tell you what trails are easy, what are hard, single track. So obviously don't try to drive your side-by-side in that. Even if you think you might fit, it won't be a good experience. Here you can see the towns. So there's different colors here. It tells you what town you're at. Points of interest. This is kind of neat. There's the overlooks and the waterfalls. Cool. You want to make sure you check that one out. That's a good one. But so it shows you all the trails here, connectors. Yeah, okay, so basically 1, 2, 3 squares here is a mile. So this kind of gives you an idea of how many miles you're going to be squiggling through. So on this, like if you get through Rock House and you take one of these, get to 39, changes into 38, and then this starts turning into Devils. So now you can get to Devils, and here's where you were over here, and then you can keep making your way. Devils is pretty small, but you can make your way over to Buffalo. So this map, I found it's old. This one's from 2018. They do update their maps. You can go on their website as well, Hatfield McCoy's website, and get an up-to-date map, which is not a bad idea to grab and maybe print it out, or you could store it on your phone. I believe it's a PDF. Get familiar with the map. You can download them. You're going to be able to get a paper copy like this relatively easily. They're at the ranger stations and stuff. Just grab them. I like to grab a couple spares. That way, if you, like one blows away, or if it's raining and it gets all wet, you got a spare in your your box or something. That way you can look at stuff. So again, these are the sanctioned trails. There's no outlaw stuff on here. So yeah, maps. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, it's close to Halloween. We have Bobby the skeleton here and his cousin Bobby, the head of a skeleton. So what we're going to talk about now is the junk that I bring with me in the truck. So this is in no particular order. I just kind of grab my boxes and we'll talk about stuff. Okay, so obviously you want to start with a helmet. This is just like a basic skateboard helmet. I like that it's light and that it's got vents in it, so if it's hot, this will cool you a little bit better. I think it offers enough protection. If I was riding a dirt bike or a four-wheeler, I wouldn't be wearing this. I'd have a full face helmet, but I think this is fine. I think Axle Off-Road makes a helmet that's like this. If you're concerned about getting a Dot or a Snell helmet that has the rating and stuff on it, grab one. These things are $40. I've worn them now for years and they seem to be good. Gloves, obviously, good pair of gloves. I have a little box thing here that I keep all my GoPro junk in. So extra batteries, I have an extra camera, extra memory card, stuff like that. If you're going to be, recording little Timmy do a backflip off of a double black trail or something, you want to have, maybe record that. So this will go in my box on my side-by-side, but you want to bring that with you, obviously, so don't forget that. You're not going to have great cell coverage at Hatfield, depending where you are. Well, depending on which mountain you're on, or I guess which trail system you're on. AT&T works pretty good there. If AT&T works good, Verizon's not going to work. If Verizon works, AT&T is not going to work. So your mileage may vary with your cell phone use. I typically put mine in airplane mode, but again, a lot of people bring cell phones because they take pictures with them. So this is like an external battery pack. and it's made by Anchor. I've had pretty good luck with stuff like this before. This one's a little on the big side. You probably don't need one this big, but I have a couple different size ones.
Smoky in here.
Smoky. This one's a little big as far as capacity. You don't need anything this big unless you think you're going to be camping out at the trails overnight. This is something that will like recharge a laptop, but I have different sized ones. So they vary in price. You know, you get one for $30 to all the way up to $100 or more. You know, just depends on what you think you're going to be charging, how many charge cycles, stuff like that. But some kind of external battery is a good idea to bring with you. Okay, these are little weatherproof containers. They have an O-ring on them, and you can put like, you know, your wallet, your keys, your phone, and close this up. Again, this will eventually make it in my back cargo box, but something like this, you know your stuff is going to be safe if you swamp your machine or if you run into, you know, rain, water, whatever. I keep my tuner in one. That way it's nice and protected. It's not going to get dirty. It's not going to get dusty. These are pretty inexpensive. You know, check the measurements when you buy them. If you're going to get them on Amazon, again, I'll have links for all this trash. But, you know, you could check the measurements and then see if your stuff's going to fit. Like I bought this one for my tuner, and I'm like, oh, this is way too big. So I put my tuner in the small one, and then I figured, oh, well, my phone, my wallet, my keys, all that jazz fits in here perfectly. So now I have two. They're pretty small, and all your stuff is going to be completely safe and dry in these. So definitely pick up some of those. Maps. We already talked about maps, but these are new ones. April of 2022, and it's important that you keep some maps with you. We went over this in the map section, but if you notice, I don't know if you can see that, I'll try to zoom in, but 21 is here, 22 is missing. So that kind of screwed up my plans Thursday because I wanted to take 22 and it would save me time. Well, now it's not there anymore because they're mining for coal or whatever, so it's closed. So it's a good idea to get fresh maps all the time. Again, I think I touched on that with in the map section. But so I have all my maps. I throw that in a box, and I keep all that stuff, put it in the box. That way we have it down there. This is a tablet holder, just a cheap one. This mounts on like a RAM mount, ball mount. I think it's a 1-inch ball. I have this on the passenger grab bar, and then I'll have the maps being displayed on that, so my passenger navigator guy can at least tell me where we're going. So again, this is kind of a cheap one. You can mount them wherever you want. This one seems to hold up pretty well. It's padded, and I like it because it has a lock. This like little thing's a fulcrum, and it locks in place, so it grabs the tablet really well. So again, I'll put some links in the description of stuff that I think is useful. A legit first aid kit. This I think is actually a really good thing to have. My wife is a nurse, and she made this up for me in a nice little box that locks up good. And then I throw some extra towels in here to like push everything down. But there's elastic wrap, gauze, you know, some like Tylenol, insect spray, Band-Aids. There's medical tape in here, butterfly closures. There's gloves in here, you know, like Neosporin. You want to, you know, put together a kit that you think would be good for you. But the ones that you buy, the pre-made ones, are usually absolute garbage. They come with just like 400 Band-Aids and a pair of scissors and tweezers. Like what are you going to do with that? So spend a few bucks and just go to your local, you know, drugstore, Walmart, Meijer, Kroger, and get some legitimate stuff. This will also fit in the back of my cargo box, so I made sure it fits. You know, you're probably at an age where your mother doesn't dress you anymore, so it's a good idea to plan ahead as to what you're going to possibly be wearing on the trail. So I usually ride in April or October, and I like to bring a assortment of things. You never know what you're going to get during those months. So depending on when you're going to have your trip, you might want to bring different things. Early in the morning before heading out, it's usually kind of brisk. So I like to have some kind of fleece to wear. I'll shed this when it starts warming up. If it's really cold, sometimes in April, it's way cold in the morning. I've seen snow there in April sometimes. So I'll have a heavier coat. And again, it warms up throughout the day, so you want to be able to shed layers. So maybe, again, depending on when you're going to go, you're not going to need this stuff in July, obviously. So you wouldn't bring that. So depending on what month you're going, it's going to vary. But colder weather months, spring or late fall, I like to have stuff like this. If you're going to stop at the trail and maybe eat some snacks or something, or you brought lunch with you, it can be real bright and sunny. I like to bring some kind of hat. Not, a huge fashion statement, but it's nice to keep the sun off your eyes if you're out of your machine. You're used to a roof or whatever, so now you have a roof for your head. So I like to have a hat. I throw that in my box. This is something that I would probably bring no matter what, is rain gear. So I'm not going to get out everything, but I have an assortment of like pants and coats. Some stuff is better than others. Like this rain jacket is a legit one that's much better quality than, say, these Frog Togs. I think that's how you say it. This stuff is like, you can pick these up at Walmart and other sporting goods stores. The stuff works okay in a pinch to keep you dry, but you're not going to be able to use it more than a couple of times. It just gets like, the material isn't that great. But still, something like this stows real easy, and it's nice to have around if all of a sudden it starts raining. You're going to want to stay dry if you don't have like a full enclosure or something. So even these, these are like $40 to get both the jacket and the pants. And I like to buy them a little bit bigger so that they go over my existing pants that I'm wearing. So definitely have rain gear if you're going to Hatfield. These are hot hands things. I'll usually take a couple of these with me. A lot of times people might get a little cold, and something like this can warm you up a little bit. And then kids get cold, it's nice to have something like this that you can stick in a pocket or something and provides you with a little bit of warmth. I will have a little bag here. This has extra USB cables of different types. I have micro, mini, and C. There is also Apple Lightning connectors on here. Again, if someone needs to charge a phone, or if you go to your cabin and you forget some of this stuff, this is something nice to take with you into the cabin. In here is just extra gloves and goggles. It's going to get dusty on the trail, so I like to have a few pairs of goggles, and I keep them in this. This was like an old bag for a helmet or something, but it closes up nice. So I like to keep some extra, there's extra gloves and stuff in here. And again, this is stuff that goes into the cabin with me, and then if someone needs it, they have it. Trying to think of other stuff. Depending on where you stay, the last place we stayed was the Appalachian Outpost, and it was super nice. I'll cut to a clip of the cabin to show you guys that. Welcome to the crib. Here we are, Appalachian Outpost, Liburn, I believe, West Virginia. I'm going to give a quick run through. This is a really, really nice cabin. Great parking. It's dark now. It's like 10 o'clock, 10 at night. But this is a super nice place, so we'll give you a quick rundown. I'm just sitting in a little chair here, but this is when you walk in, and they have a code lock, and they just they'll tell you what the code is before you get here, and you just type in the little numbers there, and it opens, unlocks. But right away you walk in, and it's the kitchen over there, and then there's a pull-out sofa. That's where my buddy Jeff is going to stay, since he pulled the short card coming here last. But little chair here, and Uncle Herman staying in here. Nice bedroom. Looks to be a queen-size bed, I'd say. So TV and little dresser type thing. So ceiling fans. Ceiling fans in each room. So here's the kitchen, and nice little dinette area. And off the kitchen here, there's a full bath. The two bedrooms would share this bathroom. So nice bathroom, nice tub. Looks like it's got the little seats there where you can sit down and scrub your dirty feet or whatever if you play mud bogger. So coffee pot, fully set up, dishes, you know, everything, pots and pans and stuff. So that's this one. And then Cousin Bobby's crashing here. So this is their room there. So yeah, nice bedroom here. And then there's a closet, a little closet here, store stuff, or like Harry Potter room. Someone could stay in there, I guess, if they wanted to. So I'm staying up here. So you got a few steps to climb up to get here. And then this is open, so it kind of overlooks everything, which I thought was kind of neat. Very nice windows, nice and you know, airy. So here's my bathroom, you know, just a small shower, toilet. Then again, another queen bed, little end table, and then another TV there. But yeah, super nice setup. Would recommend. The people are really nice here. Plenty of parking, which I'll get that in a second. Well, it'll be a second for you because I'll just cut to the morning. So very happy so far with the place. 10 out of 10. Very nice. If you're staying in a cabin or you're staying in any cabin, they're usually furnished pretty well. But if you're going to be doing a lot of cooking, you might want to bring some cookware. And the only reason I say that is a lot of times when you go to a furnished cabin, they're going to have pots and pans and knives and forks and all that stuff. But they're going to be like the budget bin, you know, Craigslist variety. They're not going to be anything that's really great. So if you're kind of a food snob like I am, maybe you've seen some of my Cooking with Bobby episodes. Quality, check that out. You might want to bring a couple of decent knives and a couple of decent pans. The food that I made turned out great at the cabin we stayed at, but it was frustrating using some of the cutlery there. The knives were dull, and the pans, some of them were like missing lids and stuff. So if you have room, maybe toss in a couple pots and pans that you're used to. So again, these are just a few things that I bring. I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, obviously you're going to bring many changes of clothes, extra socks, you know, your riding boots, Crocs maybe. You know, you can flip those babies in four-wheel drive if you need to. I like to bring my own pillows. Again, it's just a comfort thing. I normally don't sleep great unless I'm in my own bed, but so I bring my own pillows. These are all things that you might not think about. You know, you're excited to get, you know, rolling on your adventure, and you forget some of this stuff. I like to make a checklist of everything, and that way, you know, you'll have everything with you. Flashlights or the lights that you can wear. You know, sometimes they have hats with lights or headlamps or something. Bring some extra flashlights. It gets dark. So one thing I failed to mention when riding on the trails is how deceiving the distances and times can be. The maps that you get will have an indicator of how many like square blocks per mile. I believe it's 3. And you got to keep in mind, you're not driving like 60 miles an hour like you would be on a highway or something. So if you think a trail might only be 10 miles long, if you're only averaging 15 or 20 miles an hour, it's going to take you significantly longer to get through stuff. So keep in mind, if you go on a 4-hour journey, say to a certain point of interest, it's going to take you that same amount of time to come back unless you do road riding. So we'd rather come back on the trail. So keep that in mind when you're going to be driving around. Okay, so Bobby and I here have some cheap Baofeng radios, two-way radios, and these work pretty good if you're looking for a cheap communication device with your group, but you have to be relatively close, because if somebody's on another side of the mountain or they're further away than the range that these things can do, you're not going to hear them. But in a pinch, if you guys are relatively close, and what I mean by close, I'd say within a mile or so, these things work fairly well as long as there's not too much obstruction. Again, if you're on the opposite side of the mountain or if you're being blocked by a lot of stuff, you might not be able to hear your party. But these are actually really nice. The green one here, you can program channels into. You can program channels into this one, but you need a cable and some software. But I would look into getting these. They're not that expensive. I want to say these Baofeng ones, you can get them in like a 4-pack where they're almost, I think, like less than $20 a piece. And these are a little bit more. These might be 40 or 50. I'll put links down below. But this one has like FM radio. You can do 2 different channels, so you could go back and forth if your group is really large and you want to divide up the channels so not everybody is crowding channels and stuff. But there are some limitations to these, and I think the GMRS radios like this, you really need to have a license to use them. I don't know if I want to say they have some. It's either really free. It's either really cheap or it's free. You got to take a look at fcc.gov. If you Google stuff, family radios or walkie-talkies, you'll be able to find some information on these things, and you'll be able to find out about the licensing. But you can get ham radios as well. That might be good in a pinch if there's an emergency. Do some investigating if you're thinking about some communication devices, comms. So again, these are nice, a nice option. To piggyback off what I was talking about in regards of mapping out your destination and keeping an eye on how long stuff is going to be, you want to make sure that you're planning for fuel stops. Every town is going to have a gas station of some sort, so you'll be able to fill up. I like to live by the mantra of if I'm at a town, and even though I don't think I need gas, I usually will get gas. Also, you're going to need to be able to pay for the gas, so either bring a credit card or bring cash. I usually bring both. You never know what you're going to run into, so definitely don't forget that. So you plan your route, and you get there. You have all the gear that you need. Your machine is ready to go, and you know that you're going to have a pretty successful time at Hatfield. So, and I hope that if you're a first timer going out there, enjoy yourself, be careful and safe. They are awesome trails, and you're going to have a blast. So thank you for following along and listening. If you found this helpful, or if there's something I maybe missed or something you recommend bringing along, put it down below. That could help somebody out as well. Might even help me out if I forgot something. So thank you for sticking around as long as you did, if you did. If you found the video useful, don't hesitate to share it on groups and stuff like that. I just want to help others out having a good trip down to Hatfield or wherever you're going. So thanks for watching.